My greatest strength as a wrestler is that I can sell violence. I had given up on the career of wrestling, and then Ring of Honor came through in 2013, which led to Japan, then led to NXT, then led to here.
Look at the career you've had because you and Ivar met.
It wasn't even our idea to team up. Ring of Honor just liked how we looked together in the ring. 11 years later, no split up in sight.
Do you think about a singles run?
Absolutely. I never want that to be at the expense of the War Raiders.
Having a match at WrestleMania as the tag team champions.
Who could have ever drawn that play? I was told I shouldn't have been alive, so it's a wild ride.
What is that story?
I can't just tease that.
When you won this beautiful championship, how did that feel?
I don't have words to articulate that because it means so much.
You guys had a bit of a rough road, the Viking Experience.
So let's talk about the Viking Experience.
You know, I'm a Cleveland guy. Like, I lived in Cleveland for 5 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
2010 till 2015.
Okay. So
I was an entertainment reporter for 19 Action News.
Wow.
Yeah, Channel 19.
So now a very important Cleveland question.
Yes.
West side or east side?
I was downtown.
Oh, yes. You're right in the middle. You're a fence sitter. You're a fence sitter.
I lived on West 9th Street. You know the Bingham?
Yeah.
I lived in the Bingham.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so I could never afford living downtown on West 9th. I grew up like near West Side of Cleveland.
Okay, so West Side.
Yeah, very much a West Sider. My dad
Logan Paul's also West Side.
Yeah, we don't claim him. My dad worked at LTV Steel. And then after that, the steel mill went under, and that like is a whole part of my childhood, like, you know, financial difficulties and all that stuff, like so many Clevelanders. And then he worked at Great Lakes Brewing Company, and I was fortunate enough to go to St. Ignatius High School, which was right next to Great Lakes. So like he would drive to work, I would go to school, and then, you know, find ways home after wrestling practice or whatever.
When did you move from Cleveland?
So I left Cleveland in 2010.
So our paths crossed briefly.
Almost, yeah.
I was there. I moved there in February 28th of 2010.
Yeah, and I was out like May of 2010.
Look at us.
Yeah,
like two ships in the night.
Yeah, and then because like if you were in Cleveland at that time, there was no jobs, there was nothing. I was making zero money as a wrestler. I had basically given up on like the career of wrestling. I was like, well, wrestling's something that I love, but it doesn't love me back. So I'm going to give up. Like I can't chase this anymore. So I took a job. I had some friends that I had a job opportunity open up in Texas. So I moved to Houston. I lived in Houston for 6 years. And
were you wrestling at all?
Yeah, I was. So I had like, there was like a smaller independent company in Houston and then one in San Antonio. The one in San Antonio was actually but like it was essentially run by Hernandez from TNA. So I got a hold of him and whatever. And then I was just doing those two shows. That was it. Like, and it was not even, I think it was every month, but it might've been like every 6 weeks or so. And like, I was wrestling and just kind of like, well, this is just what I'm going to do for fun. Like, I can't make money at this. I can't make a career. Like I said, I loved wrestling, but it didn't love me back. And then Ring of Honor came through in 2013, and I got a call if I wanted to like have a match. And I actually spoke with Delirious, who was booking Ring of Honor at the time, and he was like, "Oh, dude, I thought you quit wrestling." Like I just dropped off the, face of the earth or whatever. And then that led to the Top Prospect Tournament, which led to Toddy and I getting signed, and then led to War Machine, then led to Japan, then led to NXT, then led to here. Like it's this crazy journey that I never thought possible.
And what a story, because nobody gets into wrestling going, I want to be a tag team wrestler, right? Most people go into wrestling, I want to be a single star, I want to, be a champion.
Oh, yeah.
But then you realize that, oh my gosh, my weaknesses are your strengths and vice versa. We make a great team. And look at the career you've had because you and Ivar met.
Yeah, absolutely. And like when we first got teamed up, because it wasn't even our idea to team up, we wrestled in the Top Prospect Tournament. And now I'm sure you had Ivar on the show. He's going to be very, very proud of the fact that he won that match. He's going to tell every time we go to Pittsburgh, he tells everyone in the building, from the guys sweeping up the trash to Randy Orton and Triple H in the back, that in Pittsburgh, he pinned me. So make sure this goes on the podcast, because that's his most thing that he brags about all the time. But after that match, I think Ring of Honor just liked how we looked together in the ring. And they were like, oh, they both have beards and both kind of this smash mouth thing. We'll team them up. And I'd only met him once before. And we talked. And like, it was like we had a lot of mutual friends, and like we got along right away. But at the same time, we had a conversation. We're like, well, all right, there's not really space on the Ring of Honor roster for us to be singles guys. Let's do this tag team for a little bit, and then we'll turn on each other, we'll split up, and then go our separate ways. And then, 10, 11 years later, I think at this point, we're no split up in sight.
You're having a match at WrestleMania as the tag team champions.
Yeah, who could have ever drawn that play up?
Yeah,
like it's completely, and especially because he and I both, like at different points in our career and our lives, like had some type of traumatic injury, accident, whatever, where like we were either told like, you should never wrestle again. I was told like I shouldn't have been alive. Like I should have died. So it's a wild ride that like you just can't, like you can't script that.
So what is that story? It's a motorcycle accident.
I can't just tease that.
It's a motorcycle accident, right?
So in 2014, actually, just after War Machine started rolling, he and I spent 11 or 12 years each, like not making any money in wrestling, basically both giving up on like making wrestling our career. We get offered Ring of Honor contracts. We start wrestling. Everything's starting to go good. And then like I had done every day for like 2 years, I went to the gym. I got on my motorcycle, went to the gym, left the gym on my way to get something to eat. And a girl was texting at a stop sign, and she just pulled out right in front of my motorcycle. So like I was going about 55 miles an hour, and she was maybe 30 feet in front of me, like maybe. I hadn't even had the conscious decision to like brake, whether I was going to try to brake and turn to miss her or lay my bike down. I just kind of said, oh, and I didn't even get the full word out of my mouth. So I wasn't even censoring myself just on general. And I smashed into the back of her car. So like instead of hitting like where the hood, I had turned and jerked the wheel, and I hit like the back seat. And then, so because I had torqued the handlebars like this, I broke my left thumb. I shattered everything above my left arm to my elbow to my shoulder. Then I went up over my handlebars. I punched out her that rear window with my face, like lacerated above my eye. Broke my nose, but I didn't break the cartilage. I broke like the bone, like the skull. And then I stood up. Like I hit my knee, and then I stood up, and my arm was like wiggling, and the girl comes out of the car, and she's crying, and she's, like, do you need me to call the ambulance? And I was like, yes, please. And then the ambulance shows up, and they pull up across the street and, or like across the intersection.
And you're still standing? And
yeah, I was like, I had sat down at that point. And I just stood up off the curb, and I started walking to the ambulance. And I remember that I saw the ambulance, and the paramedic grabbed like a body bag out of the back, because they just assumed from the call that I was dead.
Wow.
And I walked over, and there's literally a body bag on the ground, and I'm like full Walking Dead, right? Because my whole face is like just gnarled up with blood and stuff. And the paramedic looks at me, and he's like, sir, you're not supposed to be walking. And I'm sure I was in shock at this point. And I was like, do you want me to go sit back down? And he's like, no, you're already over here. I just want to stabilize your neck before you do anything else, or, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, unless you want to walk to the hospital. And I was like, well, how far is the hospital? He's like, oh, it's about 3 miles. And I was like, no, I'll take the ride. Like, I'm sure he was teasing me at that point, but like I was in so much shock that, I didn't know what was going on. And then everybody I had talked to after that, like the emergency room docs, the surgeon, like all the doctors were basically like, yeah, like people don't typically live, because I wasn't wearing a helmet.
Wow.
And like, we've talked back and forth on like whether or not that actually saved my life or not, because like maybe, and I'm not advocating that you shouldn't wear a helmet on a bike. I'm just saying mine 1 in a million chance, like, because I hit the window with my head, and there's a chance if I was wearing a helmet, it would have been bigger and I could have hit like the cross guard over top of the car, like the roof of the car. That might have snapped my neck. It might not have. I don't know. I know that my dad has always told me that I give my guardian angel the hardest time, and I almost outran him that day. But he was looking out, and there was a reason that I survived that, and a reason that I was there. So then the doctors were like, yeah, dude, you should be dead, right? Like you should have died in the physics of this accident, the whatever. Like usually this is a fatal accident. There's no way you're going to wrestle again. Like your arm is completely shattered. It's destroyed. Like literally everything from elbow to shoulder is just destroyed. Like you're going to be lucky to lift weights. Like you're going to whatever. 6 months later, I was wrestling again. Like I had 2 plates, 18 pins and screws, like all like a 6 or 7 hour surgery, putting my arm back together. And I was back wrestling 6 months later.
Did you feel like you had a new lease on life?
Yeah. And in a way I was like, I've wasted so much time. Like there's so many stupid decisions, or I've worried about so many things that like don't truly matter. And I've let so much time waste, and I felt that I couldn't do that anymore. I felt like I had been given this second chance on life, literally, where it was like, I don't want to waste any more time. I don't want to take anything for granted, right? Like I, definitely like hugged people more, and like was a lot more thankful and grateful, and like, cause I to have a doctor tell you like you should have died, not like, hey, like you're real lucky, or hey, like this could have been bad. Like he was like, yeah, dude, I can't explain why you're alive.
It also makes you wonder, like, are you content with the life you lived up to that point, right? And if that was me in that situation, I'd be like, no. Like, there's so many other things. I think of all the things you've done since 2014.
Yeah, absolutely. And like,
got married, became a dad again.
Yeah. Went to Japan, went to WWE, became a multi-time world tag team champions. On different continents for different companies. All of the things that like I thought my life were going to be is just totally different. And like growing up in Cleveland, with like some of the bad decisions I was making as a younger kid, like I thought I would be dead or in jail by 35. Like I genuinely didn't think that I would live this long. And I can confidently and firmly say that every year since 35 has been the best year of my life. And so like I've got a birthday tradition that like I never thought I would see 35. So every year on my birthday, I deadlift 450 pounds just to like, not yet, right? Like not dead yet. My wife laughs at me, but she thinks it's funny.
Do you only deadlift 450 once a year?
Pretty much. Like I deadlift throughout the year, and I lift throughout the year, but I don't go crazy heavy anymore, just with various injuries and like various, whatever. Like I don't care about the number on the scale anymore, or the number on the bar anymore. I just don't. I'm thinking long term, because like if I get hurt in the gym, then I can't perform in the ring. It's not worth the risk, right? So like I still do athletic movements. I still, I train with maces and kettlebells and, heavy weights and whatever, but like I'm not chasing a number for the number's sake, right? Like I'll do the number for the workout, but like that day on my birthday, I'm put 450 on the bar and I rip it off the ground.
What's going to happen the day you can't get it up?
I don't.
And I'm not saying it's anytime soon.
I don't accept that as a possibility.
You might be 79.
I don't accept that as a possibility. It's gonna go up. Yeah, like impossible's nothing, right?
I love that. So if wrestling was taken away from you at that point in time for a brief period of time, did you feel like it was not going to come back after the neck surgery recently?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like survive, man, this is a heavy podcast early.
What a story.
It's wild. So I got, in a freak accident, like I landed a suplex. I got dropped directly on my head, right? Like just one of those things. Like I think we kind of say it without really thinking about it, that like in wrestling, like, oh, well, any match could be our last, or any move could be our last, or whatever. And we kind of don't think about the weight of that. I was on a live event, non-televised, like just a match that we don't really think about, or like, we take for granted. Doing a move that, taking a suplex that I had taken thousands of times in my career. Didn't think once about it. And for whatever reason, on that day, I over-rotated and landed directly in my head. And I didn't even really, when it happened, I knew I was hurt, but I didn't know how bad I was hurt. I thought it was something like, that was in my trap and in my, everything kind of locked up muscular. So I was treating it muscular. It got worse. We got MRIs. Saw there was herniation in the herniation in the disc. I kept wrestling because I was like, well, we can just keep treating this with PT. I was talking with doctors. I was doing whatever. I was doing PT like 3, 4, 5 times a week. I was getting, dry needling, scraping, everything, trying to mitigate all this stuff. I was doing like electric, the therapy and stuff like that, trying to stimulate the nerves, doing everything I could to avoid surgery.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was wrestling every single week. I didn't miss a match. And then I took another bad fall, just got tumbled up going over the ropes one time, and it actually didn't even hit my neck. I hit my elbow on the apron on the way over, and then like 3 days later, my tricep disappeared. My right lat like shrank like half in size, and then my right pec like flattened, like within days. And I came in, and I was terrified. So I came into work that week, and we were scheduled for a match, actually against the New Day. Ironically enough, we were scheduled to wrestle the New Day, and I sat down with medical. I sat down with Triple H, and and everybody, like the consensus was like, hey, you're going to Birmingham tomorrow. Like, you're not flying home. Cancel your plans. We're flying you from TV to Birmingham. I saw Dr. Cordova. We did try a nerve block thing, because he was like, hey, maybe we can reverse some of this. So we tried that before cutting, and then that didn't have the effect that anyone wanted. So we did neck surgery, and but it was like, it was immediate. It was fast. It was like bang, bang, bang.
That sounds so scary.
It was, yeah. And like, they go in through the front now. So it's that ACDF surgery. It's at level like 6, 7. And like Ivar's got 2 levels. So his is actually like the one above and mine. But like our symptoms are totally different, even down to like the fingers, like our nerve pathway, like the way that my nerve pathway was affected was totally different than his. So it's funny that we both have surgically repaired necks, but our injuries couldn't be more separate. But yeah, then like I've always been a fast healer. Like after the motorcycle wreck, I was back in 6 months. So in my brain, I was like, I'll be back in 6 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I've done this before, like it's fine. 6 months came, I went for the scan, still didn't have full fusion. 7 months, no fusion. 8 months, no fusion. 9 months, no fusion. And I'm like, now I'm getting scared. Like, yeah. I'm like, what happens if this doesn't fully fuse, right? Like, what is life without wrestling? How does this go on? And then, thank God, like finally it did fuse. We showed full fusion. I was able to start training again, get back really quickly. But then like it ended up being like 13 months, I think, from surgery that I was out. And like, there was definitely some times of like, oh, this might be the end. Yeah. And so I was thinking, and I'm texting with Ivar and talking to my wife every day, and like, how do we go from here? What happens now? So it's like sobering to like be struck there. So, and then like having the motorcycle wreck, then having the neck surgery. There's all of this like, hey dude, don't take anything for granted.
Yeah.
Don't take anything for granted. Not a single flight, not a single match, not a single move, not a single day. Like, and then with kids, like, this as bad as anybody, like the days are long and the years are short. So like my oldest is already 4 years old.
Wow.
And like, even though I know you shouldn't take anything for granted, you get weighed down by like, just how hard that is, not sleeping, not whatever, you know what I mean? Like I heard something that was like, parenting's only hard for good parents. Yeah. It's only hard for good parents. Yeah, right. Yeah. Cause like, whatever. And like, I'm not saying that I'm the best parent in the world. I know I'm not. I try my best every day.
Care.
Yeah, I try. Yeah, I care. Like, we're up when, we're up at night. We're up early. We're sleep late, whatever we have to do. And like, just like everybody, does. I'm not trying to say that I'm better than anybody else, but like, you think about that and you think about those kids and like, man, I try to like, you just try to soak it, all that stuff in, even when it's hard. And it's something that Sarah and I like talk about a lot. Like while it's hard and we're like, oh my gosh, this is hard. I can't sleep or whatever. Like I remember with Cash, like during the first, like, she's breastfeeding and we're co-sleeping, we're doing all this stuff. And like, she's not sleeping like more than like 30 to 45 minute stretches for like a month at a time. Like
that's what we're at right now.
Yeah. She looks at me and she was just like, she's like, how long can someone go without sleep before they die? And I'm like, I don't know, but it's not yet. Like we're still making it. Like
because our son is 4 months. Right. So you're right around the same,
yeah.
Right?
He is 4. So our youngest Ezekiel was born on Thanksgiving. So
our son was born on December 17th, so just like 2.5 weeks later.
Yeah.
So we're right there.
Yeah,
we're in it with you. We're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And I really struggle with like trying to appreciate this moment and knowing that it is so fleeting.
Yeah.
Like this moment is all we have, right? And you need to appreciate it as much as you can, but it's like trying to grab water. Like someone's pouring water and you're trying to, and you can't. That's what it feels like. Like I'm trying to appreciate it and I am.
Yeah.
But I know that it's so fleeting, right?
Yeah.
You can't grab onto it.
Yeah. And it's definitely hard to like, there's stuff that's like, they say like level 2 fun, right? Like where it's fun afterwards, or you think about it afterwards and you can like, like climbing a mountain, right? Like while you're doing it, it's horrifically hard. It's scary. It's dangerous. It's all this stuff. And you might be suffering. But then the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, you look back and you're like, wow, that was one of the greatest days of my life.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like how raising kids is. You know what I mean? Like when I'm walking with the baby who, for whatever reason, has a bubble, and Sarah's tired and she hasn't slept in days, so I'm taking the kid. I'm like, hey, you go sleep. I'll bounce this kid. Yep. And I may have just got home from like, for instance, like when we were in the European trips, I had just come home, and same thing. She was home for 4 days with the baby, with both kids, and then I came home. I'm jet lagged. I'm, just coming off a long haul 10-hour flight or whatever. Yeah. And like, but no, like it's dad, like instant dad.
Walk
so like
in the door.
That day, I'm like, hey, go to bed, baby. And I take, I'm taking Zeke and I'm trying to pat him and get him to burp and do whatever. My lower back is locking up and screaming, and objectively that's not fun. But like you do value that, and you can look back at it and be like, man, this is amazing. Is that the level 2, level 3, whatever that is? Like,
and like we experience life in seconds, minutes, hours, days, right? But we only remember it in moments. And I think about that all the time, right? Like this day, for example, I will not have a recollection of all 24 hours of this day, but there'll be the moments that stand out.
Sure.
And I try to be really aware of the moments as they're happening. And that's been a big thing for me of like, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah. This right now we're experiencing a moment.
Yeah.
And like, it's funny. So like now bringing that
and we
back,
are right now.
This is
no phones.
This is the moment. Yeah. Just 2 dads hanging out. But like on that too, like bringing that back to wrestling, I think it was Shawn Michaels who talked about, he was like, people will never remember what you do, but they'll remember how you make them feel.
Yeah.
So there's
the Maya Angelou quote.
There's oh, is it? Okay. Yeah. So I heard it from Shawn Michaels. Sorry, I'm a wrestler and a meathead. But like I try to think about that about wrestling, right? Like the moves we do are just like the things we're using to tell our story. They're the mechanics, the techniques, right? And we're doing this to tell that story, to try to make people feel, right? And like it makes us feel, you know what I mean? Like I can get goosebumps thinking about moments of matches or whatever, and like come to tears on like, oh my gosh, this is powerful, this is a thing, or like thinking about our favorite matches. So like the same, like you don't think about the thing, you just think about the moment, right? And that moment, that emotion
Yeah.
That's the magic of wrestling, right? That's the magic. Like when you can get that motion, that emotion, that like, man, that spark in the bottle, and you know, that lightning in a bottle. That's the magic of wrestling. That's why we do it. That's why we come back to it. That's why, you know, no matter what, that's why it's still where it's at. And, you know, I think more and more people are like catching that bug and like giving it the reality of like, or giving it the ability to touch them. You know what I mean? Like where it's because wrestling was kind of on a downturn for a while, and it was like kind of like faux pas to like still be, oh, look, you're still a wrestling fan?
Yeah. I watched that when I was a kid.
Yeah, right. And everybody had that. But like now it's as popular now. I don't know because I wasn't around during the Attitude Era as on this side of wrestling.
Yeah.
But like it feels to me like in our culture today, it is approaching that Attitude Era level of like being cool again.
Yeah, it's definitely in the cultural zeitgeist now.
Yeah.
Like people are aware of, maybe you don't watch it week to week, but you're aware of who the characters are.
Yeah, and like you're aware that wrestling's cool and it's allowed to be cool.
Yes.
So like now that it's allowed to be cool, people are allowing themselves to watch it, and then you get swept up, and then you go, whoa, that made me feel something, or that made me, you know, whatever, that struck a chord, and like, that's the magic, right? That's why we do it. That's why we watch it. That's why we're here today in Las Vegas, because there's that moment of time, or that moment where there's a moment and an emotion, and you're like, ooh, this is special.
I heard it put so perfectly that wrestling is what happens in between the moves. And that's
I like that.
It's exactly what you're talking about. Nigel McGuinness said it when he was on the show.
Yeah.
And it's so true, right? Because if it was just suplex, headlock, DDT, like move after move after move, it's like, all right. But like it's the emotion that is telling the story between the moves.
Yeah, and not to in any way, shape, or form like talk bad about the video game, right? Like, because 2K is a crazy cool video game, and I played wrestling video games for untold hours growing up.
Same.
But a video game match doesn't have the same emotional effect on you as you know, watching something or wrestling something. So it's like, because the video game is just moves, right? We're doing this move because it does this much damage. It's a fighting game, right? It's Tekken. You know, you're doing this move or this punch or this strike or this suplex because it does X amount of damage, and then it's math, you know, math equations, right?
Yeah.
Where you don't get a lot of emotion out of math. And then it's what happens in between the moves, and how the story is told, and how the emotion flows, and all that fun stuff. Yeah, it's beautiful.
The John Cena retirement tour rolls on, and the dates are counting down. I'll be seeing him at Money in the Bank in Los Angeles, and I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, SeatGeek. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. Right now, grab your MLB tickets on there, maybe NBA or NHL playoffs, and of course, anything to do with WWE. Check this out. This is Raw in just a few weeks, and what I love about SeatGeek is they tell you exactly where the great deals are. Green means good, red means bad, and they rate every single ticket on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 of course being the best deal. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And you know that I came through for you guys. Use the code CVV to get 10% off your next set of tickets from SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with the code CVV. Just click the link down below in the description to download the SeatGeek app, and that code will automatically be applied to your account and ready to go for your order. Huge shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Well, this beautiful championship's been off camera. Grab it here. Yeah. What a moment that was. And you could tell how emotional that was for you guys when you won that.
Yeah.
And like, what great timing. Like, your son had just been born. This was a few weeks after that. It's like a week before Christmas. Like, what a beautiful moment. What a beautiful time. What did it mean after? Because you're both there on the pin. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Oh, man. I don't know that I have words to articulate that. It's incredible. It's incredibly validating, and like definitely something like we talk about, like appreciating things, right? Like So we're grateful. We're thinking about them in ways that like maybe when we were younger or we hadn't almost died or, you know, had our careers taken away, we're not thinking of. So to kind of put that retrospective back into it, like we talk about soaking it in. So it's something that like, and not just on the title win, but a lot of times like Ivar and I will go to the ring and one of us will take the time and we'll grab the other one. Like maybe we're waiting for our opponent to come down or like, you know, the lights have gone off right before an entrance music hits. And one of us will like grab the other one and be like, dude, soak this in. Like, this is cool. This is a moment, right? When me, Ivar, and Sarah all came out at Mania, we did that at the top of the ramp. Like, as we were walking down, the next opponent's music started because that ramp was so long in LA. Yeah. We actually didn't get the camera on us the whole way down. So we had a moment to like, wow, look around. So I'm going to try to steal a moment like that tomorrow or this weekend with Ivar. But yeah, like the title win is, it's crazy because it means so much, right? Like it means like the company has faith in you, right? The company is making you the face of their division, right? Whatever that division is, whether that's the women's title or the, you know, the tag team title, the world heavyweight title, whatever. You are a face of that company, and like that's such a vote of confidence and like such a meaningful thing on a professional level and a personal level, and like, you know, whether we like it or not, we invest our personal kind of self-worth into your character, into, you know, like how much of you as a person gets put forward, right? Like this is an incredibly vulnerable art. Cause like if you saw like Kit Harington, right, who plays Jon Snow, you're going to go, oh my gosh, you play Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Like that's so cool that you get to act and pretend to be Jon Snow. Like, oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
When wrestling fans meet you, they're like, hey, you're Erik, you suck. You know what I mean? Like you personally, you suck. Yeah. Like you're out of shape, you're this, you're that, your moves are bad, you're whatever. And it's like personal.
Yeah. That's
and like
wild.
it's a different medium, right? Like we have this like knowledge that like for movies and TV shows, like those are actors playing a role.
Yes.
Wrestlers, because there is so much reality and truth to who we are, right? Like the best and most effective wrestling characters are extensions of you. So you put that kind of forward.
Yeah.
But as a negative side to that, fans are like, hey, you suck. You know, whatever it is. And not like the, you know, the tongue in cheek, like, hey, you're a bad guy, so I'm gonna boo you. Like there are, you know, so it is vulnerable. You know what I mean? It's very vulnerable. Well, so like when you get that confidence of like, you know, the company saying, hey, you're the guy.
Yeah.
Like you guys, like, you know, through it all.
You are the product. That's why it's like, it's so difficult.
Yeah.
Because the criticism and praise, both are directed right at you.
Yes. Yeah.
Like they don't care about the booking or any of this other stuff. It's like, you.
Yeah, you. And like I think that's part of why like wrestling is such like now like I'm straight edge. I don't drink, I don't do drugs. But like if I did, I couldn't imagine a drug that's more addicting or more powerful than wrestling, right? Because it's the highest highs, it's the lowest lows. Like you go to a stadium and there's 50,000 people, or to a smaller venue and there's 5,000 people, or you know, on the indies there's 500 people, you know, even 50 people screaming your name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like there's this thing that happens for wrestlers where like a lot of times people will ask like, hey, like, you know, how loud is it or whatever? And like you can't even hear it. Sometimes you just feel it. Like the crowd is so loud that it no longer is audio. It's like a physical sensation. Like when like that crowd really comes up, it's like it hits you in the chest and you're like, whew. Like, you know, it's so like I don't even hear it, but I feel it. And it's like, man, that I'm getting goosebumps right now. Like that, it's a drug unlike anything else. So like in that, like having that almost taken away, having that whatever, and then to be put in a position where like we're in a new era, we're in a new situation, we're on Netflix now, and to be, you know, given that ball, that proverbial ball, like to be told like, hey, you guys are champs, you guys are champions. we are, you're at the top of the heap. You've got a target on your back. We want everyone to be chasing you. Is an honor, is a challenge, is a thing, and it's a thing that Ivar and I didn't think was going to happen again.
Well, you guys had a bit of a rough road, like the Viking Experience.
So let's talk about the Viking Experience. Let's talk about the Viking Experience.
It was an experience, please.
Yeah, it was an experience. So like, wow, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So, what a week. So like,
And that's the thing. It was only a week?
it was only a week. It was less than a week. It was like 6 days. And then we were the Viking Raiders. However, like the only thing changed was our name. We were still the same people. We still did the same moves. We still did the same entrance. We still wore the same clothes, same, horns and armor and all the stuff. I think we still even had the same music. Like, they just changed the name on the Titantron. So like, but people, Twitter and X, whatever it is now, has never let us forget. Like ever. Every time we're on TV, we'll get at least a dozen Viking Experience tweets, which is funny. But it's yeah, man. That we can go down that rabbit hole if you want to. But that was it was a silly moment, and like because that was our debut from NXT. And like we had already gotten our name changed once, right? Because we were War Machine on the Indies. Yeah. And then we came to WWE, and they couldn't use that name for a variety of legitimate and good reasons.
And I understand one of the big ones is the UFC fighter with a very checkered past.
Yes. Yeah. And we actually had, so I was going to avoid it, but we had a conversation with Hunter, and he was like, look, man, I can't have 10-year-olds looking up your name and having that come up on Google.
Yeah.
And I was like, valid. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
And we had actually wanted to change War Machine before coming to WWE, but at that point we were in Ring of Honor that had the name, and New Japan loved the name. So we kept the name.
Yeah.
That was kind of who, we came to the dance with it. So that's what we did. So we were down to change the name. And funny enough, like when we came to NXT and they changed our name from War Machine to War Raiders, I don't remember if it was Hunter directly or if it was somebody else through Hunter had presented us some ideas of names. And he was like, yeah, we're thinking maybe like Doomsday Raiders. And Toddy and I both looked at each other and we're like, oof. Because like a good name won't make your career, but a bad name could follow you forever on Twitter. Trust me, I know.
Is there truth to the rumor that the Berserkers was presented to you?
So not until the main roster. So in that initial change, right? So from War Machine to War Raiders, the initial one was Doomsday Raiders, and we were like, oof, okay, could we give you some ideas, right? So Ivar and I went and we talked about a bunch of stuff, and man, we probably gave 50 names back. And then someone told us, well, they really want to put Raiders in the name. So we came up with 50 names with Raiders in them.
Yeah.
And the number one on our list was actually Viking Raiders. We're like, hey, this is a name that we like. It kind of fits who we are, the look we've got, the energy we've got. Yeah. I like this name. So we sent it up, and I think it was Hunter who was like, we're kind of thinking War Raiders. I was like, well, let's give you some different ideas. He's like, yeah, but we really like War Raiders. And we're like, yeah, man, War Raiders is the coolest name we've ever heard. So then we became the War Raiders, right?
Yeah.
And then when we went up we got called up. And then we were War Raiders in all of NXT. We liked the name. And then we got called up. We were the Viking Experience. And like our first day on the main roster, we had never actually physically met Vince McMahon, but we went and stood outside his office to go and plead our case. Because like I was ringside, so like this is fun. Like I was ringside, and I see our music starts playing, and it's the War Raiders right up on the screen, and then the logo changes, and Berserkers with a Z comes up. Now I'm looking like, oh man, And then that goes away, and the Viking Experience comes up. I look, and I'm like, oh no. So I walk up, and Hunter was actually ringside, and he's texting, and I walk up to him, and I was like, hey, dude, is this a rib? And he just shakes his head and goes, I wish. I'm like, what do we do? He's like, well, you got to go talk to Vince. I was like, all right, cool. So, Ivar's plane was late, so he like gets to the building. I tell him like, we got to go talk to Vince. This is bad, right? So we go get in line. We stand, we plead our case. Said Viking Experience sounds like a Disney ride, like
it does.
It sounds like something like a Small World.
Yeah, it's right
like
next
the
to Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, and the teacups and all that stuff. Yeah, the Viking Experience. Bring your kids, right? So like, I mean, we pitched that case, and Vince was like, well, that makes sense, but we don't have time to get that through legal, because we asked to be Viking Raiders, because we heard through a little birdie told us. The initial time when we changed from War Machine to War Raiders, they were really stuck on Raiders, right? So all of the names had Raiders in them. This time, Vince was really stuck on us being Vikings. He loved Vikings, right? Like, little known fact, Vince was a big fan of the history show Vikings, which is probably why we got called up in the first place. Because he was like, hey, we got Vikings on TV. Bring them up. So He wanted us to be the Viking something, right? And the problem is Viking's a very popular thing in culture right now, so nothing could get past legal. Nothing could get trademarked. Nothing could get whatever. Viking Experience was shockingly free because no one wanted to be that, including us. So we asked to be Viking Raiders, and by this point it's like 7:30, right? The show's going on at 8. And he was like, well, we can't get this cleared through legal at this point, so what we'll do is you'll be the Viking Experience today, and if we really don't like it, then we'll be Viking Raiders next week. And, no press is bad press. So like, worst case scenario, people will they'll be talking about you. And so we're like, okay. And as we're leaving the office, kind of an afterthought, he goes, oh, and by the way, one of you is Ivar and one of you is Erik. I don't care who. And we just walked out. And I looked, and we were steps. I mean, maybe 2 steps outside of his office. And Ivar grabs my arm, like, for real. And he's like, please don't make me be Erik. My brother's name is Erik. And like, the bully in my brain for like 3 seconds, I was like, man, I really should be mean.
Yeah.
No, okay, fine. You can be Ivar. But I really, it was close to us being the other way, because they didn't have they didn't. And I was like, man, I don't know how they came up with this names. Someone might have, like, someone that, in creative might have just like Googled like
most popular Viking names.
Yeah, famous Viking names or something. And like, the first one that came, because I did that afterwards, trying to figure out like, where'd they come up with these names? The first one was like Erik the Red, then it was Ivar the Boneless, then it was Erik, then it was Erik Bloodaxe, and I was like, oh, cool. So it's literally just Erik, Ivar, Erik. Yep, you guys, Vikings. Yep, Erik and Ivar.
So then, how good was it when years later you get War Raiders back?
That was awesome, and more important than that, we got to be ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. Like, now as War Raiders, we are the closest thing to War Machine that we've ever been.
Yeah.
Right?
So no
like,
face paint.
No face paint. We're not even wearing like horns and helmets and armor. Like, we're coming out in essentially like biker vests, leather vests, and like wearing, like, this is what I wear to TV. I just put a vest on. And I cut promos like this on WWE TV.
Yeah.
Like, I wear a black t-shirt and jeans, which is what I wear every day of my life. If I'm not in gym clothes, this is what I'm wearing.
We have the same uniform.
Yeah,
wearing a white shirt.
It's
today,
hard
geez.
to. Yeah, well, you're mixing it up, right? You can't always be. But like, that's just that. This is who I am.
Yeah, that's
and we
great.
talk about that in characters, right? Like, the best character is a reflection of yourself, or yourself volume turned up, right? So like, this is who I am. I wear beanies and little, those little like cadet hats that Ivar and I wear on TV. We wear in everyday life.
Yeah.
So like, it's the most natural that we've been as part of WWE. With like War Machine on the outside, we were allowed. No one was there. No one was creatively telling us over top, like, hey, you have to be this thing or you have to be that thing. We kind of had the freedom to do whatever we wanted and define our characters. And like now as War Raiders, we're kind of given that same freedom, which is incredible. And like, so in that same thing, like when you're talking about what does that mean to be the champion here, we aren't a cartoon character that was given that vote of confidence or said, hey, this is the version of you that is allowed to be, you know, now the champion and now the, you know, now the example, now the, you know, now the top dog or whatever. Like, this is you. This is the truest form of you that we've ever seen on TV.
Yeah.
Here's the title.
This episode is brought to you by Blue Chew. Does it work? Well, find out for yourself. They're making it so easy. Your first month is free when you use the code CVV at BlueChew.com. Just sign up there at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part is this is all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. They say there's nothing sexier than confidence. Well, Blue Chew gives you the confidence where it really counts. Make life easier by getting harder. And discover your options at BlueChew.com. Like I said, they've got a special deal going on right now for anybody watching this. Try your first month of Blue Chew for free with the code CVV. You just have to pay $5 for shipping. That's code CVV. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and all of the important safety information. And a big thank you to Blue Chew for sponsoring the show.
There were some fun moments as the Viking Raiders.
They were fun. Dude, we've always had fun.
One of them was Sarah Valhalla giving the antlers to Michael Cole.
Yeah.
Like, what a fun moment. What a great reaction from Michael Cole.
I think that was actually her last appearance on TV before she wasn't able to be, because she found out she was pregnant. Wow. I really think that was the last. I could be wrong. I could be. So internet, please correct me there. But I'm pretty sure that was her last moment on TV before she went to, on maternity leave.
And then I can't remember exactly what Cole said, but something like, Cole's about, or what Pat said, but something like, Cole's about to have a volcanic eruption.
Dude, it was awesome. And like, so like it's funny too, because like Sarah had like played around with different looks for Valhalla and different things. And like some of it was like based on like the TV show, or some of it was like, you know, Instagram or whatever, where like Viking paint and makeup was really, really fun. So she had fun, like just experimenting with different things and different looks. And then she would wear like that, like the skull mask, or she'd wear different things. And Cole, like during the day, right? Like we'd be in catering and Cole would be like, hey, are you wearing antlers today? And she's like, no, I'm wearing whatever. And he was like, ah, man. So it was like real, like that was genuine. And like Sarah, again, like didn't ask permission, or like she was like, I'll ask forgiveness, not permission, and didn't tell anyone, just came out and put the antlers on him. Like just, so like that, those reactions are 100% genuine.
That was
like,
great.
TV is live. It's gonna, you know, like sometimes like that's the best moments in wrestling, is like stuff that's completely off scripted and just not, you know, like, cause we all have like a rough idea of what's gonna happen or whatever to a certain extent. That one, the only person who knew that was gonna happen was Sarah. Like, and I don't even know how long before she knew that was gonna happen, but she was like, yup, I'm bringing the antlers. Cause like Cole, every time he saw the antlers, got really happy for whatever reason. He's a fan of antlers. I don't know. I can't explain it, but it tickles him. And so Sarah like jumped up on the desk and put it on him. And it was just a real, like a genuine moment from all involved. Like that wasn't agreed upon. That wasn't like, hey, we're going to do this. She just was like, yep, there you go.
I know you've got a 4.5-month-old baby at home,
Yeah.
but is she thinking about when she wants to come back?
Absolutely. Yeah, she is a constant inspiration for me. She works so hard. She is so dedicated and disciplined, and like she keeps me on my diet so much better because she's so disciplined with hers. And like she's already like running, jumping, throwing things, like getting back into like battle shape, and like getting ready. Like, so yeah, I don't know when this is going to air, but I'm sure it won't be too long in the future before we start seeing her again.
And I read you guys had a Viking wedding.
Yeah, man. We so like, and that's the funny thing for me being like Viking Raiders or Viking Experience. Like people are like, oh, well, you know, you got to be this stupid thing or whatever. But like, we are Vikings on screen and off screen.
What does that
in the
mean?
ring and off the ring. So Sarah and I are, well, first off, like we're nerds, right? Like just straight up, like we're big nerds. I've loved like fantasy and like, fiction, stuff like that, Lord of the Rings for my entire life, right? Dungeons and Dragons, that whole thing. And like we are involved in living history during the Viking Age, right? So Viking Age living history, reenactment combat, reenactment like clothes and armor and dress. We go to Viking events. We go to like full on like full on, like we've gone to Denmark to like the largest Viking events in the world and like gone to like live like a Viking. So like you camp in tents and cook your meals over an open fire. And then everything you're wearing is based on like Viking Age archaeology and like recreated like fabrics and textiles and stuff like that. So you're wearing like linen and wool and like all of the patterns and designs and jewelry and stuff like that. You're wearing like I've got Viking jewelry on right now. Like all this stuff is like based in Viking Age. This is actually my Viking wedding ring. I don't know if you can, but it's got like runes on it that are like saying like our initials, and it's like based on one like Viking rings that were popular in Viking Age Dublin at the time. So like 900 AD or whatever.
Is this in your blood?
No. Like I said, we're just big nerds. I have no idea. Sarah's got Irish like in her ancestry. I'm a mutt. I'm from all over, but like we just have friends that kind of introduced us to this, and we dove. This might be shocking to you, but we don't do things halfway. So we dove like head first, and like we've chased it as far as we can go. Like I actually run a local chapter based in Cleveland. I run a local chapter of Jomsborg, which is the largest international army of Vikings on the planet. We train in like Viking Age martial arts and like Viking reenactment combat, and like there's like a sport aspect of it. So like there's different like combat styles, and like we fight with like real steel swords, axes, spears, swords and shields, that whole thing. Like we're training like all the time because it's real steel. So like it's potentially dangerous, right? Like cuts, bumps and bruises and stuff like that. And like, but you train really, really hard to minimize that factor.
And you've gone all in.
Dude, all in. All in. We've actually built a Viking long haul on our farm. Like,
what?
Yeah, like a actual like Viking long haul on our farm so that we can host private events like with our local group, but also like our friends groups. We host a private event every year for Viking reenactment and living history, where like we spend the week camping and living like Vikings in the woods, and then fighting. Like there's, like in Europe, the scene is bigger. So like there's like, we've been on the field with like 600 fighters at one time. And like there's these giant battles that come together, and like, spears and axes and stuff like that. And there's like troop movements and tactics going around, and like it's competitive. Like it's not like Civil War reenactment, like you're doing like an actual event, right? And like you're not actually shooting people with cannons or muskets or whatever. So like the South is always going to lose. The North is always going to win. In the Viking Age living history stuff that we do, it's competitive. So like if I beat you in this sword fight, right? If I hit you in a target zone, I win the fight. So like it's a very, very competitive thing. And like there's like a world championships in Denmark every year that I'm training really, really hard, because there's never been an American even in the finals of that world championships tournament. It's like a giant, they call it a circle of honor. So like 600 fighters start, and then it's like single elimination. So if you win, you keep them fighting. If you lose, you just go to the outside and you watch. And there's never even been an American that's been in the finals. And like my goal as a Viking fighter is I want to be just in the finals. Even if I don't win that championship, I want to be in the finals. I want to be the first American to go and like just compete for that championship. And like that's it. There's a Viking market called Sletten every year in Denmark. So like that's my like one like thing. Like I know Woods goes to like Dragon Con every year. Like that's his like biggest like, hey, I'm gonna do this outside of wrestling. That's my like biggest passion outside of wrestling.
I love the passion you speak.
Yeah, dude, it's completely taken over our lives. And like when we started, I told Sarah, like, cause she was kind of the driving force behind it. Like I had been going to Renaissance festivals when I lived in Texas. There was a giant one outside of Houston. It's the biggest in the world. And I'd gone to that for like 8 years. And it was cool. I would dress up as like a barbarian, like fur, and it would really looked a lot like the Viking Raiders outfit, to be honest. This is back in like 2014, so way before the Viking Raiders. And like fur and leather and Conan stuff, and it was cool. It was fun, Like I said, big nerd is what it is. But like Sarah, when I started dating Sarah, I took her to one of the Renaissance festivals, and we just had a ball. And she's like, "Man, we need to do this more." And we had some mutual friends who were trying to like push us or entice us into this Viking thing. And I was like, "Dude, we don't have time for this. Like, we don't have time for this. We can't do this because it's going to take too much time." And Sarah was like, no, I think it'll be okay. What if we just do one event a year? What if we just do one event? And I was like, yeah, we'll see. So like we met some people and they put swords on our hands and we're like, hey, do you want to fight? And started training us how to fight. And then we like made time. Like we literally reorganized our entire lives to become Vikings. So like we had a bunch of hobbies outside of Vikings before, and now we don't. It's just Vikings. We go home, we're farmers, parents, and Vikings. And most of those things like are connected, right? Like we bring our kids, like our kids have little Viking outfits. Like we've got like essentially like Viking daycare where like all the other parents, because there's in our local group, there's a ton of like kids, parents and kids, and they all play together. And like a lot of them have little like foam or leather, like little swords and shields and stuff like that. And like when we go to Denmark, like our friends over there have kids. So like the kids just play together, and they don't even speak the same language, but they all play together, and they're having a a fun.
Wow.
Yeah. It's wild. Like it goes deep. So
it's not just a gimmick. Wow.
No. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's 100%.
I didn't think we would spend this much of this conversation talking about actual Vikings.
Yeah. So but then we did like a Viking wedding, like, and that was your original question, right? I went way down the rabbit hole.
Right.
We did a Viking age wedding where like we kind of researched traditional like 10th century like Viking ceremonies and wedding ceremonies, and like what were kind of the norms and what was written and what was whatever. And like we struggled because like the Vikings weren't they didn't write a lot of things down. So a lot of things we know about their culture back then was and like Vikings is a weird term. It was Norse people or Scandinavian people, whatever. I'm sure that the internet is going to kill me for that. But it is, we don't have a lot of, specific firsthand written stuff. It was stuff written about them. So we found some stuff and then we blended it with like modern traditions and stuff like that. So like one of the things that we found in sagas was like the father of the bride would often give the groom a sword. And that gift was to signify that he was now the protector of the family, right? Or the protector of the bride. So Sarah's dad at our wedding, like right before we said our vows, gifted me a sword and like gave and on the sword was like engraved like eternal protection. So like he was like, this is, you're now taking care of my daughter and you're going to be, protecting her. This is the sword to do it with. And then like what my parents and we gifted Sarah was a brass or like a golden key. And the key was symbolized that she was now running that, responsible for the house and the home. And like this was all done like in traditional, Viking ways. Like these were the traditional gifts given to the bride and the groom. So we did those, we replicated them. And then like everybody who came like dressed up like Vikings. WWE actually came and brought cameras to the wedding because when we were both in WWE, I was in NXT, she was on the main roster. And we told them about it and they were like, could we film that? Like, this sounds cool. And so it's on YouTube. Like you can go find like highlight videos of our Viking wedding. And it's crazy. Cause like people like, and a bunch of wrestlers came out like, like Shayna and Nixon and, Ruby and Liv were there. And like, dude, there's a whole bunch of people and everybody played along. Everybody dressed up like Vikings. Everybody had like torches at the ceremony. Like it was,
so cool.
It was a really, really, really fun time.
Man. In 2006, you had a WWE match with Mark Hendry.
You do your research. Yeah.
He hit you with one of the hardest clotheslines I have ever seen.
Yeah, Matt Hardy actually grabbed me after that enhancement match and to check on me and make sure I was okay. He was genuinely worried about my like that Mark had killed me, and
Well, because you ran full speed into
absolutely.
it, and he winds up like he's about to hit a home run.
Yeah.
And just smokes you.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is too much behind the curtain stuff. Totally fine.
Wow.
Totally fine. Mark, super professional, awesome guy. I've known Mark for a lot of years, obviously since 2006. Didn't touch me in the head at all. That was all body on body. And I hit his chest. And he's got a big chest, right?
Yeah.
Had a bigger chest back then too. He was probably, considerably had more weight on him at that point. I hit his chest as hard as I humanly could. And like me, 2006, right? Like I'm still living in Cleveland. I'm still have dreams of being a wrestler, or being in WWE. Like thinking that, hey, maybe this is my shot, right? If I do something crazy and they see this, maybe they'll give me a shot, right? Because I had friends that went in for extra stuff and got signed right there, on that day. Like Corey Graves, I was there as an extra the day Corey got his contract offer.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like we were there as extras together. I was standing outside the ring. He was in the ring, and they pulled him aside and were like, "Here's a contract, bud. Move to Louisville." But like, I just was like, "Hey, this is my job, and it's to make him look like a monster." And knowing selfishly like that, if I do it well, that reflects good on me. So I ran into him at 100 miles an hour, and I knew too, like, whatever. I knew where to put my head, so I didn't get my head taken off, and I didn't. And then, the match was very, very short lived. And then I went back, and Matt Hardy grabbed me and was like, "Dude, are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." He like pulled me away from everybody else. He was like, "No, for real, like, are you okay?" "Yeah, man, I'm great." Because he didn't believe me. He thought I was just like, and like, so like at that point, like that kind of clicked, and I was like, oh man, like I did something good.
Yeah.
That like even somebody as versed as that, you know what I mean? Like someone who's in the inside and really good, like they thought I got hurt. And like, to be honest, like that, I think was like a foreshadowing, like of what my greatest strength is as a wrestler, is that I can sell violence. Right? Like I can make people believe or forget, right, that wrestling is scripted and predetermined and that we're friends. And I can make you forget. I can have that moment and that emotion where you're like, dude, he just really hit that guy. Right? And not only did he really hit that guy, he really tried to hurt that guy. And I truly, honestly, in my core believe that is my greatest gift as a wrestler, that I can make that violence so believable that even guys in the back are like, yo, that wasn't cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's happened multiple times in my career where people are like pulled me aside and like, dude, you can't hit people like that. That's dangerous. You're gonna hurt people, whatever. And then my opponent comes through the curtain and they're like, hey dude, thank you so much. Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, great. And they're like, what? And I was just getting like, lectured because I was violent and dangerous. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm just like that. Yeah. That's my talent. That's my, that's what makes me, that's what I'm good at. Like, and Ivar will tell you, like, when it comes to a strike exchange, that's my job. Yeah. When it comes to cartwheels, that's his job.
And that's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it is what it is. And like I'm not the biggest guy, I'm not the, I don't have the washboard abs. I don't do the, the triple flips or anything like that. I just sell violence. I'm really, really good at that part of wrestling where it looks like I am trying. You believe 100% that I am hurting my opponent, and I want to hurt my opponent, and I enjoy hurting my opponent.
Yeah. The one silver lining to your neck injury was Ivar got this great singles run.
Yep.
Right. And we really got to see what he was capable of in the ring. And man, he's so talented. Do you think about wanting to have a singles run at some point?
Yes. So absolutely. I think there is untapped potential there, where I don't have any doubt that, and Ivar proved it when I was down with a neck injury, that give me the ball and I can perform at any point on the card. Like, I have full confidence in my ability that you want me to cut a promo? Great, I'll cut a promo. You want me to, whatever, whoever, anybody on our roster, especially our roster now, it's ridiculously talented,
Yeah.
like ridiculously stacked and talented. You want me to wrestle AJ Styles for three seconds on match or on Raw? Great. I'll tear the house down. You know, you want me to wrestle? Pick a guy.
Yep.
Anybody. I have a skill set, and I've been doing this since 2003. You know what I mean? And from the indies, I was good guy, bad guy, comedy guy. You know, you've seen it just in WWE, right? Like with Viking Raiders, we're serious, we're scary, we're heels, we're comedy, we're, you know, whatever.
Yep.
Wherever you want to go, we can do that. We have the skill set. So like, absolutely, like there is a part of me that wants to have that spotlight always, right? We're in this as wrestlers, but like, there's also part of me that wants to, like, I never want that to be at the expense of being the War Raiders.
Well, every
right?
tag team turns on each other.
Yeah, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that.
Every tag
Nope.
team.
Yeah, no, I truly don't. I want us to go down in history as being the one tag team that doesn't do that. I think that there's a lot of things that make our tag team unique, right? Just about every tag team in history, the big guy is the strong guy.
Yep.
The small guy is the flyer,
Yeah.
right? Our dynamic flips on its head.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so special about it. Ivar is 350 pounds. He's doing moonsaults and backflips and tajiri, you know, back handsprings and all the crazy stuff. And it's not to say that I physically can't do some of that stuff, but it's not nearly as impressive as me at 250 pounds doing a cartwheel and Ivar at 350 pounds doing a cartwheel, right? And like, so I'm the strong guy. Like I'm the one who catches people. Like there was a spot that we did in during COVID with the Street Profits where Tez does like a flip dive over the top rope, and I catch him on the floor and then powerbomb him at Dawkins. And like, we actually had to do, because this is, you know, it was COVID and there was no crowd, we actually had to do that twice in a row, because the first time I did it, I actually stumbled. Like I took a step back and I hit the announce table and then stood up and threw him at Dawkins. And they wanted it to be a cleaner catch. And I was like, yeah, but that was real. Like, all right, cool, whatever. Let's go again.
Yeah.
And like, when we talked about it, like, we told the camera guy that we were going to do it, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to rehearse that?" And I was like, "Nah, I got it." And I looked at Tez, and he's like, "You got me?" I said, "I got you, no problem." Like, we didn't talk about it, we didn't think about it. It was just like, "Yeah, got it."
Wow.
And like, you know, so that, I guess that's two, right? Like, if I have two skills in wrestling, it's one, I'm strong, and two, I'm
Sell violence.
Yeah, I sell violence. You know, I'm violent. So like, but yeah, like that's my job, right?
Yeah.
Ivar's not going to do that. Ivar's not that guy, especially not with his neck, especially not with, you know, some of the injuries and stuff like that he's done. So like, that's my role. Like, I'm the strong guy. He's the flyer. You know, he's the funny guy. I'm the mean guy, right? Like that's what it works. And like, I think playing off those dynamics is what makes us so attractive. It's what makes us so unique, so dynamic. Yeah, so I don't want to turn on him, despite whatever he says about Pittsburgh. You know, maybe once, like maybe there for our very last match of our careers, I'll get my win back. But until then, I don't have any interest in wrestling him.
I'm so glad we were able to sit down for this. I've had your tag team partner on a few times.
Yeah.
Glad we could make this happen.
Yeah.
Just two dads talking about Cleveland here.
Yeah.
I will ask you the question I ask everybody at the
Yes.
end, because gratitude is the cornerstone of my life. Wake up every day, I say out loud 3 things I'm grateful for. It just kind of centers things to focus on what you have rather than what you don't have, and do it before I go to bed as well. What are 3 things in your life you're grateful for right now?
Sarah and I talk about our, that's a spoiler, by the way. Sarah and I talk about things, this topic a lot. And we have like three points that we always try to like keep at the forefront of our minds. And the first one is family. I'm incredibly grateful for family. That is something that we, you know, and that's my wife, that's my kids, that's my mom and dad. We moved home to Cleveland because of family, right? Like that's where my support system is. I'm the middle of 5 kids. They've, you know, Cash is grandkid number 11. Wow. You know, so Zeke is, I think, 13. Like everybody gets together. We're all together for holidays and Christmases and birthdays and stuff like that. So like family is the unshakable rock that I am so grateful for. That's what my life is based on. And then our farm and fitness, right? Like, so I'm so grateful that we live on a farm. We grow our own food.
What city are you in?
We're outside of Cleveland. We're like
Where?
45 minutes outside, out near.
You can tell me off camera.
Yeah. We'll talk off camera. But like we're on a farm. We raise our own meat. You know, we raise cows and sheep for meat. Yeah, that's a whole conversation we haven't even had. But like, I'm so thankful for that, for living in being able to be and be blessed in that way. And like that allows us to live our health, right? And because we know where our food is. We know what our food eats. We know where our food lives. We know where it dies. We know where it, you know, the whole cycle. And like, we're very thankful for that. And we're very fortunate that we can do that. And then faith, right? Like I'm unapologetically a person who lives at faith. I think that is a cornerstone of why I am the way I am and how I am and who I am. So those are three things that I'm grateful for every single day is faith, my farm, and my family.
3 Fs.
Yeah, 3 Fs.
I love that. Thank you again, man. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.